Rolling start about to get underway. The cars making their way 2 by 2 through the Goddard hairpin and up to the start and finish lines where the red lights are on, and they go out now and their cars blast off up towards us then for the first time. There's one with a wheel on the grass there. That was Morel, wasn't it? A bit further back. Charles Hall trying to make some ground up as well. He's up to second place now as they head into the first corner. But they swoop around Redgate down to Hollywood and through Redgate, through the Craner Curves for the first time. A 25-minute race, longer race, different format this year for the Bikesports. The second race has a pit stop, but this a straight race and the down through Old Hairpin for the first time, Josh.
Yeah, Morel was on the grass. He was being squeezed by his mate Ross Ford, and he sort of leaned on him to make sure that he knew he was there. We've got a spin. It's Doug Carter, who's not a big fan of wet conditions, I'm afraid. He's in the gravel at the Old Hairpin, and that doesn't bode terribly well, I don't think. So the rest of the field head up the hill. Already Andy Fido from pole is behind Shane Stoney. They're 68. Alicia Barrett having her first ever race today. The former Carter in the Formula Woman car, and she's qualified well with him right in the middle of the pack. Yeah,
good to see her having a good first race meeting as the leading cars now head down the straight.
I think she's 8th already from 12 from the grid, so that's pretty brave.
Safety car is already being scrambled, which means that Charles Hall, I think, has just realised that he was about to try and attack Daniel Headlam for the lead of the race as they went into the Fogarty S's, but again decided better of that. So it was Daniel Headlam that was leading. It was Charles Hall up to second in the number 77 car, and then another spinner.
Fido, the Class A Championship leader, he's got damage, and that happened
under the safety car,
and it was at the chicane.
So
I'm not sure if we've got the tyre stacks out this weekend or whether that's caused a problem, but that looked like a damaged car to me. And it's Stoney, it's Shane Stoney who's the other car involved.
Yeah, now is that as part of the same instance or is that a separate problem?
Yeah, I just said Stoney had just got ahead of Fido, didn't I? So whether the yellow flags weren't seen or something like that, but that is the main championship contenders in Class A in strife. So potentially, although he didn't really do much in qualifying, Stephen Larkham, the Northern Irishman, could come into contention here. Yeah,
so let's see where he's got to at the end of the first lap. He's not appeared past the timing line as yet in this race, which has gone immediately under the safety car.
Fido's come through, but with damage. Stoney, I think Stoney's not going very far at all. He's got damage, has he not, to his rear wing? So I think those two cars have come together, and a big shake of the head from Shane Stoney. I said earlier about how quick he was, but he needed to finish this race. And it's not going to happen.
And the marshal sort of shepherding him off the circuit at the Melbourne hairpin, where the cars join the circuit from the assembly area.
Someone else who's going well in is another deputy, which is Paul Seward, up in 6th position.
Yeah.
Not sure what he's raced before, but his first race, I think, in Bikesports, and he's up in 6th place.
Stephen Larkham, number 93, came across the line in 18th position, having started from the back of the grid. So the two cars that we lost on the opening lap then were number 5, Doug Carter, who's the car that's being towed away at the moment, and number 89, Shane Stoney.
So James Keevil could really bring himself into Class A contention here. Yep. After drop scores, he was 8 behind Fido, if you agree, Ian, hopefully.
Let's have a look. Yes, I do.
So, and he is the only one in actually a good position at the moment. I think he's 2nd in Class A behind Charles Hall. Fido is 4th, but with damage. And Larkham is 6th in Class A, and Stoney is out, Carter is out, and that's certainly going to be the end of Carter's championship hopes. It's going to be the end of Stoney's championship hopes as well, I think.
Yeah, so Jamie Keefield's really going to be the one that comes into it, isn't he? I mean, what's he done this season in terms of his results? He's had 2 overall podium finishes. Is it 1 class win, I think, that he's had during the course of the year?
Yeah, that came at Anglesey.
Yeah, and a few other podiums within Class A. So he's had a bit of consistency there. Who sometime Lotus Salan race as well, I think, isn't he? Jamie Keevil.
Yeah, had his first outing at Bikesports at the end of last year, I think. And he is in the ex-Robert Rees Radical SR3 with the 1500cc tuned Hayabusa engine. He's 29, but he's been getting quicker. He's been right up there or thereabouts. And of course, he was the 2nd quickest driver in qualifying to Shane Stoney.
Yeah.
So he could come through here. One to watch.
Now, got to keep an eye on the safety car light to see whether they are out or not. It looks like they are, so I think we're going to go racing again at the end of this lap. So they've only been a lap and a half behind the safety car. and back into racing again with still nearly 20 minutes that will be on the clock by the time they get round to the timing line. So it's number 55, Daniel Headlam leading. For an overall win here though, Charles Hall, I'd say he's in a good shout, number 77. And Leon Morel, of course, the champion, he's in third place.
I think any of the top 5 could win this year, and I wouldn't really want to bet on anybody for them top 5 not winning it. They're all quick.
So an entertaining 20 minutes in prospect as the green flag waves. The race gets back underway here at Donington Park, and Charles Hall immediately pulls out to the driver's left of Daniel Headlam to try and find a way through into Redgate Corner, but didn't have a way through there. Morel with them, and Brown behind Keevil now, is that? As they make their way up to or down through the Craner curves. Once again, quite a lot of spray, of course, kicked up by these cars into the helmets of the following drivers, and a spin in the background for the number 2 car. That's Ross Board, and he's picked up quite a lot of gravel there up at Redgate.
Yeah, and he had his best qualifying. Fido is still going with his damage. Whether he might want to be called in for that, though, we shall see what the officials think to it. Confusingly, Paul Stewart is in the Formula Woman car that others have raced earlier in the year, whereas the Formula Woman driver this weekend was Alicia Barrett, so that's slightly off-putting. But yeah, that change has happened at U4. Keevil is ahead of Brown, so up into 4th position. But yeah, Charles Hall, I reckon that splitter is dragging, isn't it? The front
yes.
splitter on that car.
You can hear the vibration, can't you, as well, through the effects mic as they turn their way through. So that's not going to be helping the aero. That's been a big crossed-up moment there for Morel as well. But I just wonder if that's been done on the curbs, maybe, Josh.
I wonder if it was doing it at the start. The ADR's been a bit problematic, hasn't it, when Charles Hall has raced it? It's quick, but it's those sort of extra modifications causing a few challenges. So Morel wiping the visor. As you said, the spray pretty violent in these cars, and I think we've had some big slide for Keevil. Did he save it? Yes, he did. Used his perhaps experience of 1960s race cars to save that. So we've seen quite big slides, which you don't normally see in these cars. Shows you how tricky the conditions are. 1 minute 45 the lap time. That is 6 seconds slower than Shane Stoney did in qualifying. So wonder if track conditions aren't ideal at this stage.
Certainly not. I mean, that's 17 seconds outside the lap record, which was set by Scott Mittal 3.5 years ago.
That splitter's not getting any better on Charles Hall's car. He's had an awful season, hasn't he, Charles Hall? But here's one of the Radical SR1s, and we should see more of these next year, Ian. Yeah, no, it's great to have them out with us this weekend. There's Doug Carter, isn't it? Yeah, so like the last race, they got the car out of the gravel and let it go again, which is good news. So we've got a real battle on for this lead, haven't we? This is a really close race in the Radical Bikesports Championship. Got 4 cars pretty much nose to tail, with Dan Headlam leading the way, the 31-year-old ex-single-seater racer, raced in the BRDC Formula 4 Championship a decade or so ago, being chased by Charles Hall, another former single-seater racer, but from longer ago. He is a former champion in Bikesports. He won in 2020. Then you've got Leon Morel, who is set to become the 3-time champion, and then Keevil with them, Jamie Keevil. But yeah, it's a really interesting battle between these top 4. And this perhaps actually the first time this year where we've seen the reverse grid actually jumble the order up, which has remained that way for more than one lap.
Yes, absolutely right. And probably the conditions are part of that. Getting a moment there for Charles Hall on the exit of the corner. It's interesting to note as well the lines that were being taken. They were more sort of conventional lines that was being taken in the MX5 race. Weren't going very, very deep and wide into the Melbourne hairpin.
Full race in wets might make that difference.
Yes, I suspect it does. Over the line they go. Keevil with the best lap of the race now, 1:44.058. It's Hall up the inside of Headlam, and he takes the lead of the race. So Charles Hall, number 77, one of the Class A cars there, getting ahead of the Class B car of Daniel Headlam, and through into the overall lead of the race. It's Leon Morel, the champion, in 3rd. It's Jamie Keevil in 4th. And what's happened to Philip Brown? He's dropped back quite a long way now from these first 4.
And Morel down the inside of Headlam, which gets him the Class B lead with it. Keevil would quite like to clear them so he can go after Charles Hall, because maximum points all important in that Class A championship battle, and immediately goes up the inside and goes through ahead of Daniel Headlam. So it just took Charles Hall opening the door, Dan Headlam then offline, and since then it's been hard to sort of get back into position, and that has allowed the other Radical SR3s of Leon Morel and Jamie Keevil through.
Onto the back straight then they go. Hall it is that is leading. Morel now second, and it is now Keevil up to third position as well. So Headlam going backwards here, down to fourth he has gone, as they make their way through the Fox Yeses and now down to the Melbourne hairpin once again. 15 minutes still to go in this Radical Bikesports Championship race, and again Morel just sliding a little bit as he gets the power on as they accelerate out of the Melbourne hairpin. It's well controlled, but he's under threat here from Keevil, who's up the inside in that Class A car, and he goes past the Class B car of Morel. And a reminder that within the championship, points are scored within the individual classes rather than the overall finishing positions.
So now Keevil is in the chase. He's 1.5 seconds back from Charles Hall. So they turn their way there in to Redcoat. But yeah, Charles Hall's had a really... Oh, it's Ross Board's off again. He's been quick today, but this is the second time he's gone off in just a few laps. Where is that?
Yeah, well, the marshals certainly couldn't shift him. We'll try and pick up exactly which corner that's on in just a moment. Just looking at the situation in Class A, James Keevil is second. Championship could end, but Andrew Fido's still third in Class A, isn't he? So keeping things interesting as far as the championship is concerned. Stephen Larkham will be up to third as well because of the demise of Ross Board as well. And now the 22 car is off as well, and that's Andy Boyce in the invitation class Radical SR1 for the driver from Glasgow. So he's off, and that is down at the hairpin, I think, isn't it?
That's right.
That he's gone off.
So tricky conditions out there. Here, there's Ross Board, is it not? So he's back out.
Yes,
but he's got a lap down.
Yes.
But the Andy Boyce car now calls in a challenge into the S's they go. Keevil is catching Hall here, isn't he? So the gap was 1.5 seconds. It's less than that now, but there will be yellow flags at the next bend, so they will have to respect that. Double waved yellow flags here. So Charles Hall in the ADR leads. Oh, Shane Stoney got back going and has stopped again.
It's just got halfway up the hill, hasn't it? It's pulled off. So I imagine it's been ferreting around, trying to get something sorted on the car, and managed to rejoin, but has not got very far. Unfortunately, he's now in probably a worse position than he was before, because he's right at trackside now on the run between Melbourne and Goddard. Yeah, there'll be more yellow flags for his car, as well as the yellow flags that you could see, which have now gone in. They're going back out again.
Being replaced by safety car boards.
Being replaced by safety car boards, yeah, exactly. For the car that was off, the 22 car of Andy Boyce. So another safety car period, second of this race so far. And we have got just about half the race left to go. 12.5 minutes left to go. It's number 77 Charles Hall that leads, from number 19 Jamie Keevil in second place. In third position it's number 1 Leon Morel, who leads Class B. Fourth is number 55 Daniel Headlam. Fifth is number 11 Philip Brown. In sixth place is 161 Paul Stewart. In seventh place, going very well on her debut, is number 68 Alicia Barrett. Eighth number 59 Tom Cockrell. Ninth is number 12 Andy Fido, who is third in Class A. And rounding out the top 10 at the moment is number 17, and that is Miles Drew. So race continuing behind the safety car then, with that car off down at the Melbourne hairpin, while the marshals and recovery crews try to retrieve that car from the gravel trap. Didn't quite see how Andy Boyce managed to get the SR1 into that position.
So I reckon if they finish like this, after drop scores, Fido would be 6 ahead of Larkham and Keevil going into the last race, which would mean he'd need something like a top 4 or 5, wouldn't it, in that last race? But it may all change before then, because we should get some more racing laps once this Radical SR1 is picked up, the car of Andy Boyce. As you say, this will be a class in the renamed championship next year, when that Radical Club Challenge name comes back, because that was a fixture of Radical Motorsport categories, 15 years ago, something like that.
And it makes very good sense for them to work with the 750 Motor Club, who will really have a very good grid of radicals racing at club level, and it will cater for any kind of radical. So that's pretty much, and so that's very good to see. Just looking, we lost one of the non-radicals, the Wolfit Spire. That only completed a couple of laps. That, I think, stopped somewhere out on circuit, although we've not necessarily seen where that was. So that was another retirement, along with Shane Stoney, and now seemingly Andy Boyce as well, although we've seen the cars get released back into the race during the course of the day so far. I think we'll have at least one more lap behind the safety car,
A couple more drivers making their debut today, Calvin O'Connor and Dean Hudson, who are in 11th position for Hudson, 13th for O'Connor, so they're having an okay debut. Their first ever race today, like Alicia Barrett. But Barrett, I think, a pretty experienced karter, so that should really help, shouldn't it? We've seen so many karters go into sports prototype racing and be quick. So can have at least a further lap behind the safety car. The good thing is this time, when the car can be recovered, the snatch vehicle can quickly retreat behind the barrier. But of course, we've also got Shane Stoney's car to deal with, which we didn't have that problem earlier.
I imagine they're just going to try and get it possibly behind the barriers up there, or out of the way. See if they can do that. But that's not in a particularly exposed position where it was anyway. So hopefully that can be not disrupt things too much further. So another lap to be completed. Then they're across the line now to complete lap number 7 of this race, with 9 minutes on the clock still to go in this Radical Bikesports Championship race.
So the lap times, the best is just under a 1:44. The best in qualifying from Shane Stoney was 1:39. So Hall himself is still over a second off what he did in qualifying. So it just suggests the track perhaps a bit more slippery than it was for whatever reason in qualifying this morning. I wouldn't say it's any wetter, but the grip doesn't seem to be there.
Yeah, whether there's some other fluid that's been dropped onto the circuit during the course of qualifying, that may play a part as well. It just could be in that sort of really difficult, greasy phase that the circuits can get in. Charles Hall then heading them round behind the Renault Megane safety car. There's a driver who looks like he's set a best lap. I can only imagine he's probably managed to shortcut the circuit somewhere. Given that lap time, there's also a car that's got off behind the safety car as well, which is now rejoined.
I think that was the one that's Boyce's car. They just got out the gravel.
Yeah,
so I think again, their cars seemingly today, if they go off, they're trying to get them back in.
Yes, right.
Rather than having them to collect them again after the race.
Andy Fido still with that bodywork that's deranged. We could see him in the queue there a moment ago. Man that was on pole position for this reversed grid race. So all being well then, we should be able to get going again at the end of this lap, which will probably leave maybe 6 minutes or so left to go, and therefore probably enough time for at least 3 laps.
See when people keep it on the road.
Yes, of course.
Which has been a challenge for some. Yeah, Fido's, I think, lucky he's not been called into the pits, really, isn't he, with the damage? But that's a crucial championship moment as well, isn't it, really, if he does finish the race with that front left bodywork that's been ripped away, but seemingly not going any further. So, we should, assuming Shane Stoney's car is in a safe place, should be able to go racing this time. With the ADR, then, of Charles Hall, ahead of all these Radical SR3s. Yeah, they're SR3s, aren't they? 2nd through 7th. Yeah. Then Tom Cockrell, who made his debut at Brands Hatch, the ex-Caterham Academy champion, he is in 8th position in a PR6.
Okay, I have a feeling the safety car lights might be out. Let's see if that is the case at the moment. We'll get a view of the safety car. Yes, they are. So it looks like when they're turning them off, they're doing it just as the car goes onto the Melbourne Loop, more or less. And then the safety car will pull in at the end of this lap, and there'll be about 6 minutes left on the clock by the time they get there. So it's going to be 77 Charles Hall that's leading, number 19 Jamie Keevan in 2nd place, number 1 Leon Morel in 3rd, number 55 Daniel Headland in 4th, 11 Philip Brown in 5th, and the 161 car Paul Stewart completing the top 6. Safety car dives in, and green flag will wave. There it is, and the race gets back underway. So Charles Hall make a pretty good restart there. He's put some daylight between himself and Keevil as they head up towards the right-hander at Redgate Corner. Keevil still 2nd, Morel 3rd, Headlam 4th. Gap back to a back marker, a lapped car, which is that of Ross Board. And then in 5th place, it is the number 11 car of Philip Brown.
Stephen Larkin was trying to make progress, but there's a long way to Andy Fido, who is the next Class A car, to score any further points. But this battle for the overall win very much on between Charles Hall and Jamie Keevil. Hall, who has had little results, as someone else that's gone off, And it's Alicia Barrett who... Oh, no, it's not. It's the other Formula Woman car, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's not
it's
Alicia
Paul
Barrett.
Stewart.
It's Paul Stewart in the car that had been raced earlier in the year by Lana Carter earlier in the season here, as well as others. So yeah, that confused me. I said it would.
Yeah.
So she's gained a place there for, so she's up to 6th, and there's that big gap then between her and Phil Brown. So this is going to necessitate more cautions, but we're side by side for the lead, so this could be important. But here comes 19 then, Jamie Keevil up the inside and through into the lead ahead of Charles Hall. So Keevil looking for his first ever overall win in Bikesports. He's a big twitch out of the S's, but he is ahead here.
Certainly is, and could, as you say, be at a crucial stage of the race. There's green flags at the moment, but Hall takes a deeper line into the corner, tries to find a way around the outside, can't make that work. Who's going to get more momentum on the exit of the corner? Looks like they're both accelerating away. There's another chance, though, at Goddard to try and make a move on the inside there, which Charles Hall does not do. So it looks like as they come through to complete lap number 9, with the checkered flag now made ready, it is Jamie Keevil that wins for the first time in overall, I think, in a Bikesports race. Second goes to Charles Hall, who overtakes him on straight down. Whether he's seen the checkered flag or not, I'm not quite sure. I think he may have done now. Third place goes the way of...
I think now Keevil's chasing after him, wondering if the checkered flag was waved.
Yeah, Daniel Headlam got ahead of Leon Morel as well to take third place. So Leon Morel only second in Class B on this occasion. Philip Brown was 5th, Alicia Barrett 6th, 7th was Tom Cockrell, 8th was Andrew Fido, 9th was Dean Hudson, and 10th was Matthew Price. And that checkered flag coming early, I suspect, because of that Paul Stewart card that was off in the gravel trap at the old hairpin. And rather than throw another safety car and just keep the order the same until the end, it was decided the best thing to do is to throw the checkered flag.
And because Keevil got the fastest lap on that lap as well, he got 4 more points, so that means he will only be 2 behind going into the finale.
So that's going to be exciting later on for the Class A Championship fight then. Number 19, James Keevil it was that took the win at the end of 9 laps from number 77, Charles Hall in second place. He was just under 4/10 of a second behind in the ADR amongst all these Radical SR3s. Third, number 55, and winning Class B was number 55, Daniel Headlam. Fourth was number 1, the already crowned champion Leon Morel. 5th, number 11, Philip Brown. 6th, number 68, great result for Alicia Barrett, her first time out in Bikesports. 7th to number 59, Tom Cockrell. 8th, number 12, Andy Fido, but he was 3rd within Class A. Picking up important points for that. 9th to number 15, Dean Hudson. Rounding out the top 10 was the invitation class entry of the Radical SR3, Matthew Price, number 84. Head of Stephen Larkham, up to 11th from the back of the grid. 12th was Calvin O'Connor. 13th was Ian Charles. 14th was Mark Grayson, as Charles Hall has come through to take the checkered flag again. In 15th place was Miles Drew. 16th was Vikram Sedera. 17th on our screen, although I don't think he made it to the end, was Paul Stewart, then Ross Board, Doug Carter, Andy Boyce, John Wolfert and Shane Stoney, who all had various dramas and failed to finish the race. So that is the first of our Radical Bikesports Championship races done. They'll be back out again towards the end of the afternoon. It's about 5:15 when we have the mandatory pit stops as well, although we'll go from a sort of conventionally ordered grid based on the qualifying time. So that's the second Bikesports race to look forward to a little bit later on. We're going to go into our lunch break very shortly here. We're due to be back underway after the lunch break at around about 1:50. For those of you watching on the live stream, we'll hopefully fill the gap with some interviews in the pit lane from Matt Suckling. But we've got 8 more races to come this afternoon, Josh.
I think one thing we didn't, I didn't register at the time, Dan Headlam taking 3rd overall was his first Class B win of the season.
Okay, brilliant.
We've had Liam Morel, Phil Brown and Tom Cockrell win Class B, and Dan Headlam has added his name to that list. So a really good result from him, keeping Liam Morel at bay. And obviously a first overall win, as we mentioned, for Jamie Keevil. So two very happy drivers. We'll talk to Matt Suckling shortly. And championship decider, a Donington decider coming up in the Class A part of Bikesports. That'll come up later on. But for now, let's have a chat with our race winners with Matt Suckling.
Thanks, guys. Yep, down here with our race winner, Jamie Keevil, who wants to celebrate with everyone first off. Jamie, well done. I think that's your first overall victory within Radical Bikesports. How was that?
It is, yeah. Good. A bit sketchy at the start, as usual. It's very slippery. Obviously, a couple of safety cars. I got Leon when he lost it a bit coming out of the hairpin. So that got me into second, and then I don't think Charles could get any temperature on the warm-up lap because he was all over the place. So I just saw my moment, took him up the inside, and then up to 2 corners later there was a checkered flag. So I was quite pleased with that. Yeah, good.
Yeah, that was your chance to pounce, wasn't it, effectively? But good for Class A and good for the championship as well as we move into the second race.
Yes, final race of the year, I think, next race. So I've no idea where I am in the championship, frankly, but that can only have done some positive, can't it? So yeah, all good, delighted.
You look like you enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's really good. Went well for once.
Good stuff. Well done, Jamie. Congratulations. Good luck for later on. We'll get a quick chat if we can with Dan, who's over here. Charles is now back in after doing another lap. Well done, Dan. Class B winner that time round. Was that a bit tricky?
Yeah, I mean, I had a little small excursion on the green flag lap that didn't help, and then luckily got a really good start and kind of led a few laps up to the first safety car, which was obviously great, and then dropped back a bit, had a scrappy lap, lost a couple of places, another safety car, and then managed to just get a position on the last lap, which is always great, and hold on to the checkered flag. So yeah, good race.
Yeah, it was an important one, of course. You got top 3 overall and also past your class rival, which is good. Looking at the car, a bit of grass down there. Was that an excursion off track?
Yeah, unfortunately, but that is just one of those things. It's rainy, we're all pushing the limits, and yeah, so found a little bit of grass, but car looks in good shape, so that's all good.
It was a great race to watch. Was it good to be part of?
Yeah, it was really good to be part of, actually. It was good close racing, and yeah, so it's always good when we come home with no damage and close racing, so that's always good.
Good stuff. Well done, Dan. Congratulations on Class B, and we'll try and grab a quick word if we can with Charles, who finished there as our man on the podium. Well done, Charles. Good race there. Looked like it was hard work. You've got a bit of board that's flapping about.
Yeah, it's been getting better all weekend since we started with the car. But then yesterday, testing was just getting it good, and then the diffuser just disintegrated. So we were down at B&Q about 9 o'clock last night trying to build a splitter. So it's nearly hung in there, not quite, but yeah, it was a good race in the end. I nearly got the win, which would have been amazing. But yeah, I'm happy with second.
Yeah, well, it's partially done the job, which is good. It kept you kind of in the fight, and it keeps you kind of in the Class A Championship as well.
Sort of, yeah. I think we're here for more support for the series and everything. Although we're being pushed out next year, so I think it's only radicals. So I'll just put it in there. Radical don't want anyone beating anything but a radical, so they've disqualified us effectively.
But you've still got one race to go this year, so all out and trying to get that victory.
I'm going for it. I've still got one more go. Cheers, mate.
Well done, Charles. Congratulations. So happy drivers down here in what was once again treachy conditions out on circuit. So we look forward to again a second race for the Radical Bikesports Championship a little bit later on this afternoon. But for now, we're going to have a few ads, and then we'll be roaming the pit lane to try and find some drivers.